Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Talk Julia. My name is David Amos.
And my name is Randy Davila.
So, Talk Julia is a weekly podcast that we're starting that's going to talk about resources, tutorials, YouTube videos, projects, all sorts of stuff that we find out there in the Julia world. We'll be sharing those with you on a weekly basis. And just to talk a little bit about myself and who I am, and I'll give Randy the opportunity after this. But like I said, my name's David Amos, and I primarily come from a Python background. Been programming for about 7 years professionally. Been programming in other languages longer than that, but professionally, it's been about 7 years. And I am an author of a book called Python Basics, a practical introduction to Python 3, as you can see Randy holding that up there. And now I'm just starting my journey into Julia. So, Randy, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so again, my name is Randy Davila. I hold a PhD in mathematics where I focused in graph theory. After finishing my PhD, I sort of fell into the world of data science through interests and, I don't know, just liking to program, and eventually became an assistant professor of data science at the University of Houston downtown, and also an adjunct professor of computational and applied mathematics at Rice University. Um, I fell in love with Julia back in 2014, before I even knew how to program really while I was a graduate student at Rice. A friend of mine was really into it and was helped develop some of the early versions of it. This was back before Julia 1.0 even came out. And I just loved the syntax. I loved the coloring of the symbol, like that little guy right there, that symbol. And it was just appealing to me. So when I started teaching myself data science after I finished my PhD, I chose Julia as the language to start with. And it was awesome because it was so similar to the mathematics textbooks that I had that I was trying to copy from textbook to code. So when I was offered an opportunity to teach machine learning, the first semester and the following probably 5 semesters of teaching machine learning at the undergraduate level and then at the graduate level at Rice, I used primarily Julia, though my main experience has been in Python. So I've always kind of I've wanted so badly to make Julia the language that I was using the entire time, but Python is just so vast and has so many libraries that I had to kind of cave and use Python, but no more. I think that going forward, it's 2022 now. We're recording this on the 1st of 2022. I really think that Julia is going to be where I'm going to personally go. I'm going to keep on doing Python, but Julia is what I want to focus on this year, and I want to teach my students how to use it as well. And a part of that process is David and I learning together and then sharing our experiences with you guys. So that's why I'm excited about this podcast and about all the things that we'll be doing with Talk Julia. So David, why are you excited about it?
Yeah, well, I think, Randy and I met each other in college, actually, and both of us have degrees in mathematics. Randy went on further than I and finished his PhD. But one of the things that I'm excited about is I think Julia sort of fits into my mathematical brain a little bit better than Python does. And with the little things that I've dabbled with it so far, just sort of make more intuitive sense to me than some of the things in Python did. So I'm still a huge fan of Python, and I don't plan on stop using Python at all. And I think what I'm sort of excited about is seeing the interplay between those two languages and how as Julia really comes into its own, which I think 2022 is probably going to be a big year for the Julia language.
Oh, I definitely agree. Agree.
I'm just excited to see how it's going to fit into that ecosystem. So from what I understand, Julia currently has been primarily, I would say, kind of an academic language and used a lot in research and numerical computing, scientific computing, those kinds of things. And those are things that I'm really interested in. So that's something I definitely want to learn about. But I see it kind of making waves here in the near future in the data space as well. But I also like that it's really a general purpose language. So I'm excited to see kind of what grows out of that. I enjoy making tools in Python, like little command line applications and things like that. So I'm excited to play around with that in Julia and see what it has to offer there. So just overall, I'm excited to learn a new language, and I've kind of decided that Julia kind of makes the most sense for the next step in my personal programming journey. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think 2022 is going to be Julia's big year.
Have we mentioned what the purpose of this podcast is yet?
Well, I think you kind of mentioned it, that part of it is for us to learn more, and then share that with everyone that wants to listen to us. The format, I think, is going to be a lot of it just we're going to find, search for and find some resources, tutorials, books, YouTube videos, online courses, I don't know, anything, packages, GitHub repositories, all that kind of stuff. And share that with anyone that wants to listen to us blab about it. But
Yeah.
I think the primary reason that we're doing this is, we really want to learn, we really want to up our Julia game and experience. And the best way to do that is to
teach it. That's the best way to learn anything, is to teach someone else how to do it, or like at least like describe the processes behind what you did when you were learning, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so and I think that's something, for me, I've spent the last probably 2.5 years or so doing a lot of teaching of Python. I worked for a website called realpython.com, which is a fantastic Python resource if anyone deals with Python as well. But so I have a lot of experience with teaching a programming language, and writing tutorials for programming. And I'm excited to take that knowledge and apply it to Julia as I'm learning it myself.
Yeah, that I think that's the purpose of what we're doing. And along the way, though, other than just like sharing these types of things, I feel like I'm going to share what I've read in books, and like kind of give like quick summaries of like Julia books and resources and things online that I've come across, so that when the people that are listening, like if they're trying to learn something, they don't spend forever searching through all of the mess that's out there. Because to be honest, well, it's not a bad thing, it's just an obvious thing that the documentation for Julia packages and resources is not nearly as vast as Python.
Yeah.
Python's been around for how many years now?
Pushing 30 years. This is early 90s. 91, I think, was when Python 1 came out.
Yeah, and Julia
or 0.9, whatever the first.
Yeah. And Julia version 1 came out like 3 years ago, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So it's still immature in that sense. Like it hasn't had the time to build up the same kind of ecosystem that Python has. But I've been incredibly impressed with how quickly they're getting there, and how quickly the ecosystem is growing, which is really exciting. Well, so that's what Talk Julia is. This is our very first sort of introductory episode. We're going to be publishing new episodes every Friday. For more information, you can go to talkjulia.com, and you can subscribe there and check out the podcast episodes as they come out and are released. You'll also be able to listen to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. So I'm David Amos. Thanks, Randy, for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah. See y'all then.
All right. Take care.